In this video, we will show you how to replace your ignition switch and lock cylinder with key on this Honda Accord. This will be located inside of your steering column. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. We're going to disconnect the negative battery terminal from the battery. To do that, we'll be using a 10mm to loosen this up just enough we can remove it from the battery. Looking underneath the steering column, we're going to remove the steering column cover by removing several Phillips head screws. You'll find that you have one towards the driver's side. Making your way towards the passenger side, you'll find several others, and then one down here. We'll use our Phillips head screwdriver to remove each of these. There's that one. There should be one in here. There should be one right there. Ours are missing. Make our way across. That one right up in here. There's another one. There we are. Now that we have those out, let's make our way over towards where that lock cylinder is. There's one hidden right up in this corner. Now we can take hold of the lever here and move this up and down as necessary and start removing this. Let's give that a quick inspection and we can set it aside. Now we can remove the upper housing cover here. Now that we have those out of the way, the next thing we'll do is remove this lower panel from underneath the dash here. It's going to be fairly simple. Just go ahead and take hold of it and give it a little tug straight rearward. Pop it free from the top as well. There we are. A quick inspection of that and we'll set it aside. Now let's have a look underneath the steering column here. Before we start taking anything else apart, I want to point out this yellow wiring harness. Anything that you see that has a yellow coating making its way around this area that has wiring inside of it is for the airbag system. You want to be very careful with all of this. Do not disconnect any of the electrical connectors. Now with that said, we're going to be focusing on the wiring harness right along here. This wiring harness, if you were to follow it, will lead up to our module. We're going to have to disconnect this all the way down at the fuse box, down on the driver's side kick panel. We'll make our way down there. I can see that this is lodged together right here. You can use a small pocket screwdriver, whatever you might happen to have, maybe even a pick. I'll just pop this free. Remove that locking clip. Now we can separate these wiring harnesses as necessary. We'll continue following this all the way down towards the fuse box. Looks though I have an aftermarket wire here. Got some wire ties. I'll just trim these free. Being extremely careful not to cut any wiring. Now if you were to look right down here, you can see that this is anchored to this point right here. You can use a trim tool or a small prying device for this. Just Pop it free. Now, if you were to follow this, you're going to find that it makes its way into the fuse panel. Remove the fuse panel cover. Now we're looking for the brown connector in here. You can see it right out in the open. Something to pay attention to is right behind it, you do have that yellow wire and connector. Once again, do not disconnect that connector. We're only disconnecting the brown connector right now. We'll depress that with a small pocket screwdriver. You could also use your finger if necessary. Let's go ahead and pull that right out of place. A quick inspection on both sides for corrosion, of course. That looks good. Now that we have the larger wire connector disconnected, continue on following the smaller portion of the wiring harness. For this one, you're going to find that you have a gray connector located just behind this plate. Go ahead and press in on that locking tab and disconnect it. Now we have both ends of this disconnected, we can make our way back up to the steering column. Now, if you were to look up along the top of the steering column, you're going to find two 6mm Allen head mounting bolts. Let's remove the pair. There's one, got a little washer on there. Let's get the other one. We can remove the upper mounting bracket here. We'll set that aside. Now we'll take hold of this and carefully pull it out of here. Be extremely careful for those wiring harnesses as you pull it out of the steering column area. There it is, friend. Okay, friend, let's prepare for installation. We'll start by removing the key. Up along the top, we're going to remove each of our two 8mm headed mounting bolts and remove that upper clamp. We'll set each of these aside for now. We will be using those. Now we can start inserting the wiring harnesses. We want to make sure those come down along the passenger side of the steering column in the same position as where we had removed the originals. First one in there. It's going to come down along the bottom. Continue on. Now we can carefully start putting this in place. We want to make sure we have it in the proper orientation, so this will be facing up towards the steering column. Now, if you were to look down in this area, you're going to find that you have a rectangular tab that protrudes up. That needs to fit into this small hole on the bottom of the steering column. Bring this over. Start bringing it up into position. Now at this point, we'll continue on up along the top with our upper clamp and our mounting bolts. Get that up on there. Try to get it aligned. Once you have that up on there, you want to continue on with each of your two mounting bolts. You want to start them in by hand, of course, and then we can snug them up. Iron harness in the way. At this point, we'll just confirm that we are properly inside of that notch. Now we can snug them up. Okay, right there's bottomed out. Just make sure it's nice and snug there. Same thing for the other one. Bottomed out. Nice and snug. A quick confirmation to make sure it's properly secured. Now we can start connecting our wiring down along the bottom of the steering column. We'll make sure that we have it in the same orientation. That did go up and over this yellow wiring harness here, so we'll just bring it up and over. Once again, we're being careful not to cause any damage. Now we can make our way all the way over towards the driver's side for that smaller gray connector. We'll make sure that we connect that in, double check to make sure it's properly secured, of course. I got a nice click from that. We'll give it a tug. Continue on back over towards that fuse panel. We'll bring this wiring harness over. Once again, being careful for that yellow wiring. We'll press this in with the locking tab facing towards the rear of the vehicle. Listen for a click, give it a tug. Now at this point, you want to make sure that you do secure the wiring. We have that one mounting point which goes in over here. Take hold of that, bring it right over. Press it in, listen for a click, double check all of the wiring to make sure it's not hanging down anywhere. If it is, go ahead and use a wire tie of some sort if necessary. Now we can install our fuse panel cover. Set this in position, lock it down. Let's make our way over here. We're going to put on this little clip holding the wires together. There we are. Now we can tuck this up in here. Now we'll continue on with our lower trim panel here. We'll take this and carefully slide it into position. You want to make sure that you align all of the mounting points, and then you should be able to press it straight forward, locking it in. Double check to make sure it's secured all the way around. Now we can reinstall our steering column covers here. We'll start along the top. That should rest right into position. Once you have that on there, continue on down along the bottom trim panel there. When we go to put this in position, we want to make sure we slide it over the adjustment lever. Bring it right in there. It's like under this area. Now we can start putting the two covers together here. Just want to align them and press them in. Now as we start pressing this together, we'll continue on with our mounting screw in the corner here. Together. All right, that one started in as well. Now, as I mentioned, ours was missing several screws. You just want to make sure you start in each of them and then you can snug them up. I'll get this one in here. Just have to move this around as necessary. All right, let's snug them up. there should be 2 up in here. Let's get this last one over here. Double check to make sure that's completely secure. Lock your steering column in the proper placement. Back under the hood, we'll reconnect our negative battery terminal. Press that on there as far as possible. Use your 10mm, make sure it's nice and tight. All right, last thing we want to do is go ahead and test the functionality. Perfect. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.